Back in August 2020, one of Lebanon's most important lifelines to the outside world was destroyed in an explosion. The blast at Beirut port crippled Lebanon's ability to trade, worsening an economic crisis scarred by protests and a crumbling currency. A year and a half later, Lebanon is still trying to rebuild its port, and Turkiye could be set to help. President Erdogan made the pledge during a meeting with Lebanese Prime Minister Najib Mikati in Ankara earlier this week. Bachar El Halabi reports.
Once described as the Switzerland of the Middle East, Lebanon finds itself facing serious challenges. Massive explosion at Beirut's port in 2020 killed more than 200 people and devastated large swathes of the capital. A subsequent public outcry and stalled investigation plunged the country into its worst political and economic turmoil since the civil war ended more than 3 decades ago. President Erdogan says that Turkey is ready to help.
Firmalarımızın Beyrut limanının yeniden inşası dahil önemli altyapı projelerini üstlenmeye hazır olduğunu ifade ettim.
The Lebanese currency has lost more than 90% of its value since 2019. The poverty rate is above 50%. Unprecedented shortages of basic commodities, electricity and petrol have fueled large-scale protests. Mikati says Lebanon's relationship with Turkey is crucial in its recovery.
Our ties remain strong in all fields, including politics, the economy, and tourism. Trade relations between the two countries are growing, and we agreed during the meeting on a series of measures to enhance our bilateral cooperation.
Lebanon and Turkey have enjoyed close ties for the last 2 decades. Despite the coronavirus pandemic, trade between Lebanon and Turkey grew last year by 80%, reaching $1.8 billion. Following the 2006 war between Lebanon and Israel, Turkey sent $20 million worth of humanitarian aid through NGOs to the country and has run several projects on education and health. But today, Lebanon is still in dire need of aid. The cost of reconstruction after the port explosion is estimated at $15 billion. That can't be met by one country alone. But Turkey's support could be a step towards shoring up its fragile economy. Bachar El Halabi, Strait Talk.
And to discuss where Turkey's relations with Lebanon are headed, I'm joined from Istanbul by Mustafa Yetim. He is an associate professor of international relations at Eskisehir Osmangazi University. And from Istanbul, Bachar El Halabi. He is a political analyst who writes extensively on the Middle East and North Africa. Gentlemen, welcome to Straight Talk. It's good to have you on the program. Mustafa, what's the status of Turkey-Lebanon relations and how deep do bilateral ties between the two countries go?
Indeed, despite historical background of bilateral relations, there is a new momentum on the relations between Turkey and Lebanon, and this momentum gained a little bit a critical period in the recent with the recent visits. And in this context, you know that Najib Mikati paid an official visit to Turkey to deepen bilateral relations. Mm-hmm. And Turkey is increasingly involving in the Lebanese, political affairs. Let's say it's instruction problems, and Turkey is lending support, humanitarian support to this country, yes. Which is ravaged by several problems, several multifaceted problems. So these of course mechanisms, these dynamics led two countries to forge their bilateral relations, and we will see more, of course, improvement, more development, and the more cooperation areas in the next future.
So, Bachar, how would the reconstruction of Beirut port benefit the two countries? How could it provide relief for Lebanon amid its economic hardships?
Well, to capitalize on what my colleague in the debate has mentioned, the port reconstruction, I think, stands as a cornerstone of a possible and a springboard as well of a possible development, further development of Turkish-Lebanese relations. Mm-hmm. And let me put this in a wider context. To start with, Turkey has maintained good relations with numerous or the different Lebanese political stakeholders. It maintains good relations with the current prime minister. It also maintains good relations with the ex-prime minister, Saad al-Hariri. And Turkey has always approached Lebanon from a state-to-state angle. It supported, it sent relief, humanitarian support, and it has always maintained some distance from completely immersing itself in the Lebanese political scene and its complexities. Mm-hmm. However, right now, after the port explosion on August 4th, 2020, and if we take into consideration the wider geopolitical context in the MENA region and in the Eastern Mediterranean, the port of Beirut resembles a really good opportunity for Turkey in terms of acquiring another foothold on the Eastern Mediterranean in terms of strengthening its supply chains, which we see Turkey playing a more important role nowadays in the global supply chain due to its disruption all over the world and due to the West, more importantly, is trying to reconsider this China centrism in terms of those supply chains. So Port of Beirut can play an important role. It can also play a role in terms of giving Turkey further cards to hold in terms of its negotiation for what it sees it's part of the, let's say, spheres of influence that are being constructed in the region at the moment in the Eastern Mediterranean. And also, and from the Lebanese side, Beirut's port is the artery of the country in terms of trade. And we know that Lebanon is highly dependent on trade, unfortunately. And this also foreshadows and forecasts the economic problem that the country is facing. And if Turkey plays a role in reconstructing the port of Beirut, it will further acquire influence in the country, but it will also aid the country in reintegrating itself into the international economy.
Yeah, so it seems to be a good opportunity for both countries. But Mustafa, given the political and economic turmoil in the country, is this project likely to face any challenges, or who could be a potential obstacle here?
In terms of the ports Lebanon have, indeed, not only Beirut port is strategically important for, Eastern Mediterranean trade, sea trade, maritime trade, but also there is a potential, Tripoli port, which Turkey can make contributions to revive the potential of this port with the cooperation of Lebanese authorities, of course. So we should remind that we need to stress that in addition to Beirut port, Tripoli port can be also revived to functionalize the maritime trade relations in this region, and Turkey can play a good role, a stabilizing role in this revival of the economic relations in this region.
Yes.
And then not only in terms of ports, but also, Lebanon has potential gas reserves in Eastern Mediterranean, but because of the ongoing conflicts with Israel and the maritime dispute problems with this country, it is failing to extract and it is failing to benefit from these resources, despite the fact that indeed Lebanon is facing energy problems. So Turkey can also a good partner to, benefit from these resources.
Okay, so Bachar, what's your take on that, what Mustafa had said? Now that the disputed East Med natural gas pipeline project seems to be shelved or grounded and regional dynamics are shifting, how Turkey and Lebanon cooperated in energy, or how could they make use of these untapped energy resources in the region? Is there a room for that?
There's definitely a room for that, and as the Eastern Mediterranean gas pipeline being shelved basically offers another opportunity for Turkey to renegotiate the terms of this divvying of resources in the Eastern Mediterranean, in addition to the trade routes to Europe, most importantly. However, I would like to highlight three obstacles that Turkey will definitely face in Lebanon in terms of other rivals that would want to obstruct any project that Turkey might want to approach Lebanon with. The first one is definitely France, who sees Lebanon as part of its, at least a role for France as part of its foreign policy, and it's a protectorate to a certain extent due to its colonial past in the country. And the French will definitely try to obstruct any Turkish initiative in Lebanon. Also, Hezbollah will definitely play a role in obstructing any Turkish project in the country out of fear from an increased Turkish influence in Lebanon that might actually balance out Iranian influence in the country that now reigns supreme due to Hezbollah's unwavering and unchallenged and unrivaled muscles in the country. So Hezbollah understands that while the Gulf countries cannot play a role in balancing out Iranian influence in Lebanon, and obviously this is evident with the current situation in Lebanon. I personally think that Turkey can play this role, and this kind of scares Hezbollah and Iran, and they would want to obstruct this. In addition to Israel, that also would not want to see further Turkish influence also growing on its border and sharing this influence with Iran on its border. However, I think that if Turkish and Israeli relations
now they're normalizing.
Head in a different direction, then the Israelis might reconsider that out of fear of growing Iranian influence in the country.
So, Mustafa, Turkey's own ties with Gulf states has improved dramatically over the past year. Could Ankara help in patching up ties with Lebanon and some Gulf countries?
You know, unlike the rapprochement between Turkey and Gulf states, especially on the relations between UAE, Turkey, and the Turkey, Saudi Arabia, there is a sort of stalemate and the obstacles between Lebanon and several Gulf countries like Saudi Arabia and UAE. So, specifically Sunni communities, you know that Lebanon is a country where sectarian politics and the sectarian communities dominate the internal and external dynamics. I mean, internal and external relations of Lebanon. So, of course, Turkey can play a constructive role in resolving the possible problems between Lebanon and the Gulf countries, because Gulf countries are economically critical for the Lebanon and Lebanese people, but also there is, as our other guest already mentioned, Iran is critical, which is affecting and shaping the Hezbollah policies. But Turkey is also, as a direct result of our regional policy, we are coordinating our relations. We have a sort of contacts with all parties. I mean, including not only Sunni sections, which already consider Turkey's role as positive, but also with Shia sections in Lebanon. We cannot rule out this reality when it comes to Turkey's role. But also we have good relations, of course, expectedly with other Turkish communities in this country. So Turkey can be naturally a stabilizing actor in resolving the Lebanese problems.
All right, gentlemen, unfortunately, we'll have to leave it here. Thank you very much for joining me on Straight Talk.